Wow. Not really sure really what to say after experiencing what was game 3 of the ALDS between the Yankees and the Guardians. A game where for the Yankees, the script couldn't have been really more perfect in terms of the positioning they were at by the end of it. And just a devastating turn of events that led to a walk-off win for the Cleveland Guardians. So now the Yankees are down 2-1, facing elimination tomorrow in Cleveland with Garrett Cole on the mound, hoping to force game 5. But here we are. I'm Casey, the producer for New York's #2 sports show, alongside Derek here. And yeah, Derek, game 3, man. Just tell me how you're feeling.
Yeah, this one really, really sucks. And I try not to, as a fan, think too much like me-centric, because like Yankee fans have experienced a lot of great things, but I don't know if we want to have it be recent years or just this season. Maybe we'll just keep it to this season. The Yankees have had a lot of really tough, specifically road losses where they cannot quite close it out, or there's just been a lot of walk-offs against the Yankees. I mean, as much as the Yankees had a lot of walk-off wins for them, they also had a lot against, I think the most in the league. So we've kind of seen this before. There was a crazy stat where I guess the Yankees were 167-0 in their history, went up by 2 runs heading into the 9th, which, that streak comes to an end. There's a lot to talk about here. We kind of knew that the bullpen was eventually going to be our undoing. But even more than that, there's a lot of talk. I want to talk about one main thing, but I know that the media is going to talk about the fact that Clay Holmes wasn't used. And that this might get Aaron Boone into some pretty, deep trouble within the fan base, with the media, and the fact that Clay Holmes said after the game that he was ready, available, and that Boone said that he would only use him in an emergency situation. Now, there's a lot to unpack there, and it's still quite confusing. But let's push that aside for 1 second. But I do think that could be big for Boone's future. Maybe it does seem like, based on some of the quotes, Severino, like, they're not in love with what that was. And so as much as Boone is Cashman's puppet, and look, I think Cashman should go as well.
Yeah.
I've been saying this for years. But like something like this could fuck Boone over. But I digress. Wandy Peralta needed to stay in this game. The way Boone was talking after the game, he's acting like this is April 15th. Aaron, get a grip. You need to win these games. Forget about tomorrow. You hope tomorrow that Garrett Cole can go as deep as humanly possible. If Wandy's unavailable tomorrow, which he might be anyway, I'm sorry. Oh, wow. Wandy threw 27 pitches. You had to leave him in.
Right.
You put Clark Schmidt in a very tough situation, which he almost did navigate out of, but didn't. And I'm not going to kill Clark Schmidt, but Wandy Peralta needed to stay in this game, and there's a lot to discuss in terms of the way that the bullpen could have been used. Even going further back, if you knew that Clay Holmes wasn't available, even weirder to give some of these guys quick hooks. At the time, maybe it made some sense, but now I look back on it, Loizaga getting pulled after in the 7th inning. Now, I agreed at the time, but if you knew that you had a thin pen, I don't know why you're doing that. So that's what comes to mind for me.
Yeah, I mean, 100% agree. I mean, this is the second game where Boone has put a pitcher in a position that the pitcher has never been in before. You 100%. Got the starter in game, in the 10th with Tyone yesterday, and then this with Schmidt, putting him in a situation that is way, bigger than any moment that he's had in his career. And like you said, it was one strike away from sealing the deal, but just very bizarre. And then exactly seeing the post-game comments about Holmes actually being available, but like, we're not using him. And then Severino, the comments by the players, like you're saying, we've never really been the biggest fans of Boone, but yeah, this one might really come back to bite him, especially if things don't go as according to planned, which seems like that might be the case, unfortunately, right now.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and it almost reminds me. See, the media firestorm may not be as crazy. Boone might luck out or he might not, because if the Yankees win tomorrow, then some of that Monday, and obviously there's football, there's a lot going on. So Boone kind of might get lucky, maybe.
Yeah.
But in some ways, it kind of reminds me, the Girardi 2017, if you remember, against Cleveland in 2017, there was a hit by pitch that Boone chose to not review. This is a completely different set of circumstances, but just the angst against Boone right now, which I feel is there. It reminds you of that. And Girardi, interestingly enough, not for that moment. I think that they were kind of done with him. But Girardi ends up getting fired that year. I mean, maybe with Aaron Boone, it's not as if, it's tough to say. If normal things had taken place and he lost to Cleveland, maybe he still will survive, but I think the noise is going to get stronger and stronger about him going, and it's not fully on him. I always say this, it's annoying. I sound annoying. That Brian Cashman is also, I know he's a part of these discussions.
Yeah.
I know that when it comes to not using homes and all that stuff, Cashman was absolutely a part of that. And so how can you fully blame Boone? But it's just very frustrating, and it's the same types of losses. And like you said, you're putting players in uncomfortable positions. And what's really interesting too, I find, so Tyone yesterday was the guy in the 10th, then Schmidt.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden Schmidt overtook Tyone, which I agree with if we're talking about a pecking order there. But
putting a starting pitcher in versus
exactly. So that changed, and it's all very strange. But there's so much to talk about. There's a lot of, that's the pitching side of things. But also let's talk defense as well. And we'll get into, the play-by-play, but just before we do that, there's a couple of players defensively that really struggled, and we can't say we're all that surprised about it. And it's Isaiah Kiner-Falefa at short, and it's Oswaldo Cabrera in left field. So the thing that I don't understand, let's talk Cabrera first. And sort of the same thing happens again where it dunks in front of him. Now, I don't know why he was playing so deep. Maybe that was the team telling him to play that deep, but I don't get it in that situation.
Shaw
and Cleveland's such a dink and dunk team.
Yeah, right. So, it didn't make any sense.
It didn't make any sense. And so that happens again. And so I'm asking myself, you have Aaron Hicks, Marlon Gonzalez, and Tim Locastro all on the roster. Now, Locastro's the pinch runner.
Right.
But it's what's the point of having, and I don't think Hicks is a good fielder, but even Marlon, the point is you have options to have as a defensive replacement for Oswaldo. And look, give Oswaldo Cabrera credit. They moved him down to the 9 spot, which is the right move, and he really came through big time at the plate. Big home run, had a double, and so that's good for Oswaldo. But defensively, you couldn't have maybe switched him out in the 9th inning for someone that's a little more experienced. That's the one thing. And Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, they've been defending this guy all year long. He's not a good defensive shortstop. Come on, let's get a grip already. And his hitting isn't good enough to make up for the bullshit that he does. He has such a weak arm. It takes him forever to throw the ball. So we're going to leave Oswald Peraza off the roster because we got to have Isaiah Kiner-Falefa in there. And we're not even going to use Hicks and Marwin anyway. I just don't know. The roster construction makes no fucking sense at all. And look, Isaiah cannot be your shortstop next year. I'm sorry. I actually do like the guy. Kind of a likable guy, very accountable. Yeah. His style of play is kind of almost Cleveland-like, and I like that. But the guy's just not a shortstop that you can trust. You move off of Gleyber Torres off short, which is the right thing to do, just so you can get Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. That was what you wanted to do there. I don't fucking understand that. So the defense definitely bit the Yankees as well.
Absolutely. Hands down. Yeah, IKF, this is, the 5 millionth time he's done something like this. And yeah, like you said, Cabrera with the same kind of play from last game. Just not a good look. And it just, especially the Cabrera play, it just felt like once that happened, the whole momentum shifted to Cleveland, and that's really what got this rally going. But maybe we should now take it back to the beginning, maybe do a little bit of play-by-play here because, Severino was on the mound for us tonight and didn't really didn't have really a good start to this at all.
No, not at all. I thought Severino was going to be out of there maybe, after 2 innings. Give Sevy a lot of credit. It was a rough beginning. When Ahmed Rosario hit that ball, I'm thinking we're down 5-0. Yeah. Luckily, that didn't happen. So Sevy really should have had 14 straight outs. And if Kiner-Falefa makes the play on Jimenez in the 6th inning, which there's a domino effect there, bullpen-wise, which we'll talk about. Yeah. But Severino give him credit for bouncing back because it looked like he was going to be done. He did not have it early. And of course, Boone, yeah, the stuff is good. Yeah, Aaron, yeah, the stuff is good. Like, he's always the same shit. I'm just fed up with him. But Severino gets into trouble early. And so really quick, the Yankees make a couple of lineup adjustments. Some that we had discussed on the last episode, where Oswaldo stays in the lineup but moves down to 9. You have Higgy playing for Trevino, which I kind of expected. I would expect Trevino to be back in tomorrow with Cole. And then also Judge, which I don't think we touched on. He went from leadoff to batting second. A-Rod on the Fox Sports post-game for the National League yesterday was really critical about Judge batting leadoff. And then sure enough, Judge is batting second now. And Glaber batted first. They didn't really take advantage of that spot, but, other discussions to be had. So, first inning, and the Yankees did get to Tristan McKenzie. I was kind of worried about how that would go, and the Yankees did ultimately get to McKenzie. He wasn't overly dominant. The Yankees, it's Yankee home run ball versus Cleveland contact, and the contact won. I mean, these two teams could not be more opposite. And with Terry Francona, it's old school baseball. So in the first inning, Severino gets into a lot of trouble. Stephen Kwan, who is just really, really annoying player to go against. He doesn't strike out a whole lot. And honestly, he was getting fucked by the ump. I thought the Yankees got lucky where Stephen Kwan, there was these pitches that were balls that they were calling strikes. Anyway, Stephen Kwan leadoff double. What really pissed me off in the first, I was going crazy, is we hate to intentionally walk some of their best players. You have a base open after Rosario strikes out, and Jose Ramirez, you pitch to him? Why exactly? And he gets a single, and then it leads the first and third one out for Josh Naylor, who, this is a play where Connor Falefa, it wasn't easy. He goes for it. He might not get a double play anyway. Anyway, it ends up in a single. And Connor Falefa, a good shortstop, might find a way to get it done there, but Connor Falefa doesn't. So Naylor gets the RBI single. They get out of the rest of that. It could have been worse. It's 1-0 Cleveland.
Yep.
And to 1, McKenzie's still cruising. And then at the bottom of the second, Arias, who was in there for Cleveland tonight, actually did pretty well. He was in there for Brennan, who pitched hit. Cleveland doesn't really have a set, like, one of their spots in the order isn't really set. So he gets that leadoff double, and then Hedges singles. Straw pops out, but then it's Stephen Kwan again with the RBI single. And then that's when Ahmed Rosario hits a deep fly ball that is caught, and then Jose Ramirez gets into one. So at that point, I'm thinking Severino's getting crushed. Herman was warming up. That could have been it for him, but this is where things improve. And this was kind of what we saw, like the turnaround in game 1 for the Yanks, the turnaround for Cleveland in game 2. I thought the Yankees had this where, okay, Cleveland scores first, Yankees come back. And so here it happens in the third. Oswaldo with a 1-out double, and then Aaron Judge, who we had been asking for to really turn it around. And sure enough, he does. And there was another ball that Judge, almost got into later on that had warning track power. Judge just gets into one, launches a 2-run homer to tie it up at 2. So at this point, you're feeling a little bit better about things. Absolutely.
Yes. A little bit of a sigh of relief, especially for, Judge and his struggles. So yeah, so you're tying it up at 2, basically a tie ball game here. So yeah, what happens next?
Yeah, so they tie it up, and Severino settles down. Definitely a turning point there. It goes 1-2-3, which is all you can ask for after your team ties it up. Sevy, strikes out Naylor, Gonzalez, Jimenez grounds out, and so it's a good job there. Yankees offense scuffles a little bit in the fourth. 1-2-3 innings on both sides in the fourth inning. We head to the fifth, and the Yankees take the lead. Harrison Bader, one of the good offensive players today. When you think about it, really, Oswaldo Cabrera, Bader, and Judge were the guys, and Bader gets the leadoff single. Higgy does strike out, and then Oswaldo Cabrera, with a no-doubter, 2-run shot. Karma's kind of a bitch. I didn't love his, he kind of just stands there. I like the Yankees getting excited. I'm not one of those guys that, I don't mind the bat flip. It was there a little too long, and of course it comes back to bite him where he fucks up in the field in the ninth. So is Waldo homers.
Yeah, didn't really love. Not to interrupt, but it's just like it's almost like you're a little too young to be doing this stuff. You don't have that veteran presence quite yet to do that. But I'm not really a big, I do what you want to do, but yeah, definitely karma for sure.
Exactly. You know what? If it's to kind of walk off a series, or if you know it's done, then it's okay. But it's like, hey, like there's still plenty of game left, and of course, like of course, you know, the ball kind of comes back to him in the ninth. But anyway, as Waldo takes the lead, makes it 4-2, and then Sevy again. Sevy is settling in at this point. Another 1-2-3 inning, and McKenzie's out of the game. They bring in Henches, the lefty, who goes 1-2-3 on Rizzo, Stanton, and Donaldson. And that part of the order really struggled in this game. Players that have had some success in the first two games, that part of the order really didn't do anything at all. So you're really looking for that. You know, we can never kind of get these guys all going at the same time. It's funny that Judge and Cabrera, the two GOATs, if you will, the first couple of games, specifically game 2, come around in 3, and the guys that kind of did well didn't. So anyway, stays 4-2, and we get to the bottom of the 6th, and this was going to be it for Sevy. And he almost gets out of it, but unfortunately, Connor Falefa on a ground ball by Jimenez takes way too long. The throw is soft, the throw is off, and Rizzo does the best he can. He scoops it, his foot's in the bag, and he beats it out. This was a pretty fucking huge play.
Yeah.
And there's a domino effect there. So Sevy, this is where, and I could see the argument against me, where I would have gone to Trevino at that point. It was nothing against Sevy, but I just think I wanted to get Trevino in that spot where if he messes up, he can then settle in for the next batter. But to be fair, Trevino did get hit hard. So, like, my argument there is not quite as strong as maybe it could have been. So Sevy stays in for Arias, gets an 0-2 single. So Sevy's day ends. The runners are his responsibility, which also sucks, you know, just from an earned run perspective. And Trevino comes on, and Will Brennan pinch hits for Hedges, and Brennan smacks a single to make it 4-3. So an inning that should have ended 4-2 with Severino still on the bump ends up in Trevino giving up a run here, and then Straw hits a shot to Torres. So, you know, in some ways, the Yankees were lucky to stay up 4-3.
Yeah.
So now we head to the 7th, and the Yankees respond. Harrison Bader hits another home run in this series, makes it 5-3. That's great. So you gain that 2-run lead right back. Cleveland would go to De Los Santos by the end of the inning, and now the Yankees go to Jonathan Loáisiga in the 7th. And so you look back on it now, and maybe you could have left Trevino in there, knowing that getting the outs were going to be hard to come by, and it's such a quick hook on Loáisiga. Even though Trevino looked like shit at the end of the inning before, you probably should have just stuck with him just to kind of piece the shit together. But I didn't say this at the moment because I kind of thought, not that I trust Holmes, but I kind of thought he was available. Anyway, Loáisiga comes on, gets the first 2 outs, and then it's a soft single by Jose Ramirez. I mean, Cleveland is a very, very frustrating team to go against. They hustle, they run everything out, and Jose Ramirez, it was clean. Donaldson did all he could, but Ramirez beats that out, and so Loáisiga's out of the game, which at the time I thought was the right thing to do, because I like the Wandy Naylor matchup better. However, I'm going to say this again. Knowing that the Yankees were thin out there, you probably kind of have to leave Loáisiga in there and kind of piece the rest of the game together with Loáisiga and Wandy, and that's it. Wandy, of course, who's just my favorite. I mean, Wandy Peralta, it's not as if he has the best stuff in the world, but he is. And you know, and Loáisiga deserves credit too. Loáisiga's been really good. Jonathan Loáisiga has been very good. He is starting to now get back to 2021 form.
Yep, absolutely. I agree.
And that's been great. Wandy strikes out Naylor, just, you know, continuing to do well. So the Yankees keep a 2-run lead. Unfortunately, they don't extend it, and that's pretty big. Yankees go down 1-2-3 in the 8th, and then Wandy does a great job at the bottom of the 8th. A fly out, a pop out, a strikeout, all soft contact, and we see no one warming up in the 9th. And so that was like, wow, great, because at this point I'm thinking, no Clay Holmes, Wandy. We go to the 9th. Eli Morgan comes on, and the Yankees go 1-2-3, and this is where they messed up. And look, Cleveland, if we look ahead to Game 4, they're set up from a bullpen standpoint. Now, on paper, you like Cole versus Quantrill on paper. Bullpen-wise, though, Cleveland set up much better. All their best guys were not used. So we go to the bottom of the 9th, and this is where it's tough. And Wandy was looking good, and Luke Maile flies out, soft fly to Judge. And then, Casey, like you said, things turn where Miles Straw dunks one to the left. When he hit it, I'm thinking, all right, like this should be a catch. Oswald's get in there, and you see him running in, and it dunks in for a base hit. Now, I'd want to see replay again, but to make matters worse, apparently Straw was caught in between first and second, and Connor Falefa, I guess, didn't he threw it into third. So I guess there might have been a chance there. So it's kind of ironic where yesterday Donaldson overdoes it. Here, kind of underdoes it. It's just crazy how these things happen in back-to-back games. I mean, it's Bloop City.
Really,
Waldo's a part of it twice.
Exactly. It's just freaky how I don't know how the game of baseball, the baseball gods operate. Because just you can't make it up.
You can't make it up. You can't fucking make it up. And so at this point, I'm thinking, all right, let's stick with Wandy. It's versus the lefty, Stephen Kwan. And Kwan, similarly, good piece hitting by Kwan. He's a very good hitter. Kind of just, hits it the other way into left. First and third, one out. And then I see Wandy come out of the game for Clark Schmidt. And this is where I have my biggest problem. He was at 27 pitches. He threw 15 yesterday. Like, Aaron, this is the season. If Wandy's not available tomorrow, so be it. And she might not even be available tomorrow anyway.
Yeah,
or if he is, either way, I'm pissed because if he's available tomorrow, why the fuck wouldn't you use him now? And so Ahmed Rosario comes on, and Rosario, who, like I said, I kind of view him as a little bit of a Yankee killer, going back to his Met days, smashes a single. This was hit pretty hard. Off of Schmidt, first batter. So now it's 5-4, first and second, one out. And then Jose Ramirez is up. And Jose Ramirez, this is where, again, that soft contact comes back into play. Jose kind of dunks one in. And this was a good play by Connor Falefa. He is able to get the ball. If it goes past Connor Falefa, Cleveland might tie it right in that moment. So I will give IKF credit there. Yeah. That was almost a game-saving play that wasn't really spoken about much. And I was telling Casey that, watch, this is going to be a tease. And unfortunately, it played out exactly as it was, where Schmidt will get Naylor out, and then Gonzalez will come through. And unfortunately, it's exactly what happened, where you get, because at this point, when Naylor's up, it's like, oh God, we're fucked. Schmidt strikes out Naylor and looks really good doing so.
He really did, yeah.
And Clark Schmidt, he has the stuff. This was a top prospect. It's not a lack of ability for Clark.
It's a lack of experience in the moment.
Exactly. It's a lack. Yeah. It's a lack of experience. He hasn't been in this moment. So he gets Naylor out, and then he's ahead of Oscar Gonzalez 1-2. And the pitch wasn't a bad one, but listening to Jeff Nelson on the post game on Yes, Oscar Gonzalez is a pretty aggressive hitter. If it's just a little bit worse, where Oscar Gonzalez wants to swing at it. If he puts it in the right place, there's a good chance it's game over. But it was there for him to hit. It wasn't down the middle by any means. And Gonzalez up the middle, 2-run single. Cleveland fans going nuts. And a devastating loss for the Yankees, in which just you don't even know what to say. You're watching it kind of happen in slow motion, but just it's one of those losses. If you lose the series, especially, we're gonna look back on this game as bad as Game 2 was. And that one hurt. I mean, this was just pure devastation. And I don't know what to say. We'll see what happens going into Game 4.
Yeah, I mean, just to reiterate what I said earlier, I mean, all the things that happened earlier in the game to be up 5-3, it just is devastating. I mean, yeah, I'm a little bit of a loss of words as well, because I mean, I just feel like this was such a must win. And now you're facing elimination. I guess the one saving grace is, like you said, is that we have Cole on the mound for Game 4. But it's just I don't even know what we're gonna look like for Game 5. Or I mean, I don't even want to get to that point. I mean, I guess one game at a time here. But we are not in any good position. And something that I mentioned last episode, where I just feel like, I was a little nervous about this Cleveland team because I felt like everyone was counting them out right from the get-go because of this, softball approach or soft hit approach to everything and stuff like that. And, look at it. What was the box score today? 15 hits to 5?
Yes.
So, I mean, it's just really mind-blowing. And that ninth inning rally, I think, was 5 singles in a row. It was just singles. I don't even think it was anything, just literally the epitome.
You're right. It was 5 singles.
Yeah, 5 singles.
You're right.
And, Terry Francona being the legendary manager he is, he's got this young group of kids that's got nothing to lose. Let's just go beat this team that's supposed to be world beaters. And I don't know. This was just one of those, like, like a David and Goliath kind of situation here. And, just as that ninth inning was starting to unravel, with Gonzalez on that 1-2 count, I just had such a, I just didn't feel good about the situation. You just felt like it was, like you said, nothing against Schmidt because, really he did, the best he could with the situation. But I just didn't, I don't know. I just did not feel good about it. And I guess my instincts happen to be true, unfortunately. But yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, I feel like, it's this, the bullpen is already so depleted. And then just the management of it in this game with, like you said, that Holmes is was ready to go or was expected to go, and then Boone does like a 180 decision and decides to go the complete opposite way with it. I don't know. It's a lot. I don't know what anything any thoughts on what he was thinking? I mean,
yeah, that's going to be a big topic of conversation. And this is me coming from a person that lost some faith in Clay Holmes, even though he did kind of do well the last few games. Like, that's the thing. I have to think that there was a lack of trust there. Like, maybe it was in part health, but it couldn't have been it couldn't be fully a health situation. Like, this time of year, if you're available, if you're ready to go, you're going. So, like, it's a confusing thing where I had to think, if this was Clay Holmes of the first half of the season, this happened, I'm pretty sure they're just pushing Clay Holmes along. So I had to think in part it's because there was a lack of trust.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm trying to sift through here. I will say this at the time, though, I gun to my head, I think I did prefer Schmidt over Holmes, while acknowledging that this is a really tough spot for Schmidt. For me, it was about leaving Wandy in there, but there's so many more places we can go to beyond just that. The management before that is really tough. So yeah, there's so many thoughts that go into my mind. What you said about the Cleveland thing is interesting, and there's no excuses here. I think that if the Yankees played the Rays, it's almost like there's redemption, for 20. Not that it's not a lack of effort. It's just that'd be crazy. It's the postseason, but you wonder, Tampa Bay, they're kind of like Cleveland, except there's a big difference. They also strike out a good amount. They're not as contact oriented. So I'm wondering if who knows. But again, let's be honest with ourselves here. The Yankees, especially with the way things look now, they're not getting past the Astros. I hate to say, look, we could come back here, but then you're set up in an awful way. Where the Astros, they're coming off a 3. Mariners, valiant effort, but they couldn't get it done, which, I'm not shocked about. I was hoping at least that the Mariners could win a game, and then Verlander would pitch, but Houston set up very nicely.
Like they played 2 games today.
Exactly, which is kind of what happened with Cleveland in the Tampa series as well. It's foolish to even go there, but if we're just being honest, the road is tough. And so now, in thinking about Game 4, now with Cole, I like Cole more at home. I'm big on the home road thing.
There's something to it Cole, for sure. So.
There is. But I think with Cole, he did look good last time. They're going to push him. I'm talking 120 if he pitches well. They're going to try to get him deep into this game. I think that's their hope, is that Garrett Cole can get them into the 7th, 8th, maybe 9th if things somehow worked out tremendously. I think we're looking at 120 pitches, and it's just going to be a Garrett Cole game completely. I'm not saying that I think it's going to happen. That's what the intention is for tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And so now, so that they have everything kind of available for Game 5. Now, obviously, Cole just wouldn't be. I guess crazier things have happened. Sevy wouldn't be. You'd then be looking at a situation where Nestor gets involved on some end, and Domingo Germán and Town. But we got to see who pitches tomorrow. But they... And again, the rainout kind of was a bad thing, too, because then in their minds, they had to prepare themselves for 4 straight days of baseball. Maybe you win them and it never would have gotten to that point, and they should have had more of that mindset of let's win today and not worry about tomorrow. Too much of that going on. But that kind of hurt them, I felt like, as well. Another thing, and I know this is going to come off as, I mean, I would say this even if we were winning, but I'm just stream of consciousness here.
Yeah.
These DS series should not be best of 5.
Oh, yeah.
You play so, and I would be saying this if we were up 2-1. It's probably a disadvantage to the favorite, just because, less of a sample size, and you see the Braves go home. You see the Dodgers might be going home.
Dodgers on the brink for sure.
Best of 5 is tough, especially when you consider the fact this new format where you had these wild card teams like playing in the flow of things, and the Yankees sitting out. I'm not saying that has anything to do with this. Let's make this clear. This could have happened at any time, but I wish MLB would be smart. The DS should be a best of 7 series. It's only like, if you don't include the wild card series, it's only 3 rounds. Like, at least back in the day with the NBA, it was there was a time when best of 5 was the first round. But you got to remember, that's the first of 4 rounds. This is the third to last round, so kind of ridiculous. But these games mean a lot, and we've seen the Yankees get bounced plenty of times in the DS in a best of 5. But it's still unacceptable, completely unacceptable. I hope that, we can discuss this tomorrow and, feel at least recency-wise better about things. Like, all right, like we held on, we're going back to New York, and we can survive this. But like, this could be their undoing. I mean, there's a good chance we look back on this and say, yep, Game 3 was the pivotal moment, and I thought Game 2 was the pivotal moment, but we came so close to winning. I mean, this one is gut-wrenching. Yeah. I think Boone used the word gut-wrenching. This is gut-wrenching. I mean, this is about as devastating a loss as you could have.
Super gut-wrenching. Yeah, I mean, like you said, we got to hope for the best tomorrow with Cole. I mean, this is why we pay you the big bucks, man. We need you to, take us back to New York for Game 5. And like you said, we're going to, if we can throw as many pitches as you possibly can for us, man, because we don't want to go into that bullpen at all. But yeah, I don't know. At this point, I guess, just because you mentioned like the Astros and us having no chance, I feel like at this point it's almost like pride. Like we just need to if we could just somehow get through this round, that would be, I would feel prideful about that. And if we lose to the Astros, so be it. But
and we still can. Like, let's make that clear. As bad as things feel, there is definitely a way there. I mean, you're down 2-1. You do have Cole on the mound tomorrow, which, look, I want more from the offense. I mean, it's home run or nothing. We know that. We need more from them. It's Cal Quantrill who pitched well, but like, the Yankees have to win it. And if you win tomorrow, it's not as if Cleveland is in a great situation starting wise either, because with the rain out, just how the Yankees lost Nestor Cortez, somewhat so. Mm-hmm. Cleveland kind of lost Bieber, although we might see him in relief as well, where Cleveland's going to be going with a guy like Aaron Savale or Zach Plesac. Yeah. So they're in a weird spot too. And, I do think Yankee Stadium in a decisive Game 5, which luckily, like, I would be there if it happens. So it's another reason I really hope we win, because I really want to go to that game. Like, it can happen. This was tough. I think that if the Yankees had won this game, they really would have been in pretty nice shape. We could have, it wouldn't have been over, but this was a really, really big game to lose. But we'll see what happens. Boone better hope that we win tomorrow, because oh my God, will he hear it on Monday? Wow. Yeah. He needs to pray that Garrett Cole can kind of do what he did in Game 1, because I mean, how many years can you kind of have the fan base just go absolutely nuts, and every year you bring it back, and every year you bring it back, you can't do it. At some point, it's just like, enough's enough. And I know fans of the teams, hey, well, you guys won 99 wins. I get all that, but like, it becomes insane at some point. It's been 5 seasons. If we lose to Cleveland, now if you lose to the Astros, it's like a different conversation. There's frustration there for a different reason. But for you to lose to Cleveland, who has like the lowest payroll in baseball, like that, you can't have that. You can't have that, and so don't want to get ahead of myself, but after a loss like this, how could you not think the worst? So we'll see what happens, but it's do or die tomorrow. Elimination game. We'll see. We'll see who steps up, and they have to do everything in their power. And everyone needs to be as available as possible. There is no tomorrow. If you lose, there is no tomorrow. And Boone kind of acted today like there was, you know, I mean, there literally was, but he was acting today like, whatever. You know, we can't go back-to-back days. We can't push him. No, that's done now. Like if you have to use Loaziga 3 days in a row, you use Loaziga 3 days in a row. I don't care what the situation is.
Right. Exactly. I mean, 100% agree with you on all accounts. Let's hope that tomorrow's episode is a happy one, my friend. Game 4 is tomorrow.
I hope so.
Let's go, Cole. Come on, man. We need you. But until next time, bud. This has been the New York #2 Sports Show. Guys, please like and subscribe. We cover Giants and Rangers as well. Big Giant game tomorrow against the Ravens.
Huge.
So there will be an episode on that. So thank you all for tuning in, and go Yankees. Please, let's keep this going.